I just booked my family's train tickets from Lyon to Paris for our summer trip to France. Every time I book these tickets, I'm reminded by how different it is traveling through Europe when you understand the train system. Because what looks complicated at first is actually one of the most relaxing ways to take your family across Europe. As you're booking those tickets, there's some really important things that you do during that checkout process that's going to make your travel so much easier and enjoyable for your family. So let me walk you through the exact steps I took as I booked these tickets so that you can follow along and book your family's tickets the right way the first time. I know the first time I've thought, hey, wouldn't it just be easier to rent a car? But what I can tell you is that train travel changes the whole experience of your trip. It makes it go from something that's a chore to something that's absolutely enjoyable. And to be honest, it's not obvious at first what actually matters and what doesn't. So this time around when I was booking my tickets, I was really intentional in my booking process. I wanted to make sure that I had as easy of a day for traveling as I possibly could. But as you look at booking tickets, if you do things correctly, the most stressful time should actually be when you're booking the tickets, not the actual travel day itself. You're going to be able to sit back and watch the French countryside go by. So let's move from here and start actually buying those tickets. Before I even hop on the website to start booking my train tickets, I like to make sure that I start laying out my entire travel day. So specifically, I use Google Maps to help me figure out how far it's going to be from leaving my hotel or Airbnb to get to the train station. That's really important to know so that you can start factoring in what time you really want to be looking at your train tickets for. Many cities, major cities in France are going to have multiple trains that leave throughout the day. And so you want to make sure that you know when your checkout time is and when your check-in timing is so that you can match those up and really take in your entire travel day. So for my summer travels between Lyon and Paris, I need to check out of my Airbnb in Lyon by 10 a.m. and I can't check into my Airbnb in Paris until 3 p.m. So I made sure to factor in the travel times from those accommodations to the train station so that I could buy the tickets that are going to work the best for my family. I always like to build in more time than I think I need. When you're traveling with a family, with kids, with grandparents, always put in some extra buffer time in there so that you don't feel stressed and rushed trying to catch those trains. The more that I travel by train in France, the more that I really realize that doing this prep work ahead of time and figuring out what times are going to work well for your family saves so much stress, and it makes traveling on trains so much easier. And really, it's the key difference between a bad travel day and a really wonderful travel day. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you a trick that can save families traveling with young children under 4 years a lot of stress and hassle. It's a $9 add-on to your ticket that you're going to definitely want to know about. But before that, let's jump in and actually look at where I specifically book these tickets from. In France, you've got really two options to book tickets. You can either book directly from the French government-run rail system, which is SNCF, and I'll put that website on the screen here. And so that's the official site that you can book tickets from. It's not always the most user-friendly interface. Sometimes it's a little bit buggy, and sometimes it rejects foreign credit cards, so that can be a little bit annoying. But I prefer to book directly on the French website as opposed to other sites like Trainline.com, things like that, which are third-party apps. I prefer to go with the official route because then if there's any hiccups in my plans, any train strikes that come up later, things like that, I find it's just easier to book directly through the French company itself. This morning I did end up booking my tickets directly through the French system, through their app, and it went pretty well. I'd say it hung up a little bit here and there, but overall it was good, and now I know I've got the official tickets and I'm not going to run into issues when I'm on my travel day. So yeah, after you've put in your information, your travel day, the cities that you're traveling between, which train stations you're traveling between, you're then going to see that there's different types of trains or tiers of trains within the French system, and these are kind of like different, think of them like different classes of airlines. There's really high class and then there's budget ones. And so the highest kind of gold standard type of train is the TGV InOui. These are going to be the fastest trains, the most luxury trains, and they're actually the trains I prefer to travel on. There's also the TER trains. These are going to be trains that I'd recommend more for day trips if you're going from one city out to another location. There's not going to be assigned seats on those trains, and they're just going to not feel quite as nice when you're traveling on them. And there's also the Ouigo trains, which are the budget trains, which I typically recommend against. They're kind of a budget trap that have strict luggage requirements, and I just don't think they work well for families. Maybe if you're a solo backpacker, they're a good option. When you're booking these tickets, if you have a young child, you're going to see that kids under 4, they can ride for free on the French train systems, but I would actually avoid that. This is what I was talking about earlier. On there, you're going to see you have the option to pay €9 for a Blitz Bambine ticket, which basically allows your child under 4 to have their own seat. It's a relatively inexpensive way to have much nicer train travel. You're going to really be happy to have your kid having its own seat after 2 or 3 hours on those high-speed trains. Now that I've traveled on the trains in France quite a bit with my family, I've really realized that picking between these trains isn't just a matter of which one's cheaper. It's really going to change the whole experience of your travel day. So I always prefer to pick those TGV InOui trains, and it's really for the experience, not so much just the price. I think those trains are just faster, they have more room for your luggage, they have more comfortable seats, and it just elevates the whole train experience, so you can really feel what traveling across France is all about on these beautiful high-speed trains. And just one other piece there, it makes such a difference when you're traveling with kids and grandparents to have enough room to spread out, to have a table that's between you with 2 seats on one side, 2 seats on the other side. And it's just gonna make a world of difference for that travel day, for it actually being part of your vacation, part of the adventure, versus something you have to slog through just to get from one city to another. When you're booking your tickets, you're also going to see on the website that there's first class tickets and there's second class tickets. Now, this is a little different than what you might be used to when you're booking airline tickets. First class tickets on trains typically aren't that much more expensive than second class, and for my family, I almost always go for first class over second class. And the reason for that is first class trains are going to have a lot more room to move around. You typically are only going to be able to pick your exact seat you want in the first class tickets, and there's going to be a lot more room for your luggage on the train. I know a lot of families, they actually avoid taking trains in Europe because they're afraid of where their luggage is going to end up on the train. And when you book first class tickets, you can often have luggage racks that are going to be closer to your seats and more availability because there's just not as many people that are in the first class car on the train. So for my family, for instance, when we booked these Lyon to Paris tickets, we did end up booking first class, and I'm really happy we did because now we have assigned seats. We know where our seats are going to be. I was able to get a set of those 4 seats with the table in the middle, and then we also have a seat that's directly across the aisle there since there will be 5 of us, and that just makes it so on the travel day I'm not stressing about needing to get there early, needing to board the train early to rush, find a place for my luggage, and to be able to find non-assigned seats on the train. Now that we've talked about the different types of trains in France, the first class versus second class, it's actually time to hop on the website and book those tickets. Now, once you're on the website, hopefully everything goes really smoothly for you. One hang up that I do definitely want to talk about is when I was going through the booking process for my Lyon to Paris tickets, I got through everything. I had my tickets in the cart and I clicked purchase and the website just sort of froze there. I got a screen kind of circling and then it sort of stopped doing anything saying processing payment. And don't freak out there, just wait at that point. It took me probably 2 or 3 minutes. And what's actually going on there is the French train website is trying to communicate with your bank that you've put in your credit card information for. That takes some processing time, And for me, I had to just wait a little bit, and then it finally did come through. And what they actually wanted was for me to confirm by text message. So I got a text message on my phone and entered that code into the website to confirm that this wasn't a fraudulent charge. So just make sure you don't refresh the page after you hit checkout, and you should be good to go. Just let it do its thing, okay? That's a really important step. After you finish booking those tickets, you'll see you can download the app for the SNFC's website. And once you download that app, I actually found that I had it already on my phone and I had my account all set up, and my train tickets didn't appear right away. That's a pretty known error. It takes a little while for the tickets to actually process and show up in your app. You can actually add them using your reference number that you've gotten, but those tickets should show up after a little bit. And so don't panic at that point, and realize you do have your tickets booked and you should be good to go. And ultimately, there can be a lot of stress involved in the actual ticket buying process, but if you take a lot of these steps that we've talked about here, you're going to end up with a good train with good seats, and you're going to have a great time traveling on the French rail system. And often the booking of these tickets can be the most stressful part of train travel in France. But I did want to say, if this is your first time booking train tickets for French trains, do keep in mind it sounds complicated, it might feel complicated, but it's actually easier than you think. It's pretty similar to booking airline tickets, and once you understand the system and what you're looking at, it's really not too bad and pretty straightforward, really. Before I wrap up the video for you today, there's a few other things that you want to keep in mind as you're booking these tickets. For one, make sure to book your tickets early. Book them as soon as you know your travel day. You're going to find that train tickets go up dramatically the closer you get to your travel day. So one thing I always avoid when traveling with my family is never book those tickets the day of. You're going to pay more, you're going to have less availability, and it's just going to add unnecessary stress. So book those as soon as you know your travel dates. Another item I see a lot of families kind of worry about is theft of your luggage. I don't worry too much about that, but if that's something you're worried about on the train, then a simple thing that you can do is buy a small cable lock that's going to actually allow you to lock your luggage to those luggage racks. Another item to make sure you have correct on your tickets is when you're booking your train tickets, do make sure that you put in the exact names that are on your passports onto those train tickets. You will find sometimes that the conductors within the train, they'll come around checking your tickets, and they're going to want to make sure that your name actually matches your passport. So just get those entered correctly and you'll be good to go. For train travel, also make sure that you get to the train station at least an hour before your train leaves. I think that's going to give you more time than you actually need, but I find it's nice to have that buffer built in there just for less stress, for ease of navigating the train station, especially when you're traveling with your family. It's just going to make things easier getting there that hour before the train takes off. Another piece of advice I'd highly recommend if you're new to the trains in France is make sure to stop into either a cafe, or sometimes there's grocery stores right in those train stations. You can pick up delicious foods that you can make your own picnic on the train. Make sure you're getting good snacks and sandwiches and drinks. They do sell that on the train, but I find if I grab it beforehand, I just have it, and that becomes part of the French experience. That's part of what makes it so fun traveling on trains, is you can buy all that stuff before you get on the train, and it's a special treat you have as you travel across the country at 180 miles per hour. It's pretty awesome. All right, there we have it. That was the whole process of booking train travel for your next French vacation. So hopefully that all made sense. If you did have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer those. But otherwise, I really appreciate you guys watching today. If you found this information to be useful, I would love it if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel. That's so helpful to me. And yeah, book those train tickets. I think traveling by train with your family is one of the best ways to travel across Europe. And I think you're gonna just absolutely love it if you haven't done it before. So yeah, just appreciate you. That's it for today. If you found this video to be helpful, you may want to take a look at this video right over here. It's where I really focus on how to make travel days go as smoothly as possible when you're traveling in Europe. I really think travel days can be a very enjoyable part of the trip. They don't have to be a stressful part of the trip. So if that sounds good, check out this video right over here. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to love everybody and be kind.